I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Tech Talk, you got us on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. Appreciate you joining us so close to the weekend, which means we are one day away from Red Raider Baseball's home opener. We'll do it tomorrow against Texas Southern, 3-game weekend series. We are live from the First United Bank studio. You can call us on the Visual Edge IT hotline, 806-771-0973. You can also hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Thoughts, comments, questions, all of that, welcome there. Take us anywhere with a mobile app brought to you by Happy State Bank. We're also streaming live on Fox 34 News now and on YouTube. Also on the social media. Follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. Just look up Double T 97.3. And you can find us there and keep up with all the behind-the-scenes shenanigans we got going over here at the Raymar compound. Clint Scott with Dr. Mike Gustafson. Ben Porman behind the glass. Gus, you just didn't want to stay in Arlington another day, huh?
No, I was ready to get home. Good trip though.
Yeah.
Productive for the Red Raiders and got all my stuff done and so no complaints.
How would you? Okay, so I gave this to choice yesterday. If you are doing your classic grading style grade for the first 5 games for the long haul in Arlington, how did Red Raider baseball do?
I'd probably go with a B.
Yeah, that's what he gave him.
Yeah, it would have been great to pull off one of the two teams that are ranked higher than us, but beat Tennessee and Oregon State, but that didn't happen. But I thought, maybe Nebraska's a little bit beneath us. Obviously, UTA is, and Oregon super regional team last year. I thought they were pretty good when they, I guess they took down OU on the Friday night on Friday. I don't know, it wasn't Friday night, but. And so I remember being pretty impressed by them. So I was, pretty impressed by that win. And so I don't know. We'll, time will tell. But, hopefully these dudes can peel off about 7 in a row and head into Big 12 play on a high note.
I think
which, by the way, starts in 2 weeks.
Isn't that wild?
Yes, it is.
It is just
bonkers.
I don't know if we'll. Well, I guess I don't want to speak for everybody. For me, I don't know how quickly I will get used to that because it's not going to get any later when you add in 4 teams next year as you lose 2. How long will it take for you to get used to that?
Yeah, I know. And I'm reminded that, the Big 12 used to be a 30-game league. Mm-hmm. It actually used to be more than that when Iowa State was still playing baseball in the very early, first 4 or 5 years of the league. But the difference is in 2008, we came in with the standardized start date.
I said 4 schools. Should have said 3 because
the
fourth one to Iowa State, sure. Fourth one won't be playing baseball.
Right. The standardized start date in 2008 was when nobody could start their season prior to the weekend that it is now. It's usually right after Valentine's Day, and so. Yeah, so it really only creates maybe 3, maybe 4 weeks of weekends prior to Big 12 play.
And nothing that'll get you ready for competition quite like Texas Southern, right?
Well, yeah.
This feels like this just feels like one of those weekends that not that you have to go out and beat them 30-1 every single game by any means, but you would like to see at least a couple of beatdowns this weekend, right?
Some style point type stuff, and that's not anything you're going to hear out of the team, but it's one of those things that.
Well, I'm not on the team, I can say it.
As fans, if we walk in here on Monday and there's a bunch of 4-3 wins, it'll be this angsty teeth gnashing. The really good part about this is we've got good weekend, like a good weather, all weekend. Sunshine and.
I heard you say this on the broadcast. And I could not back this up more. You said, tomorrow, if you're looking for a ask off early
Oh my gosh,
sort of day.
yes.
Tomorrow's going to be beautiful, home opener on top of it. For a lot of people, first time you'll get the opportunity here in the area who didn't get to travel to Arlington to, have in-person eyes on the team. And boy, I couldn't back that up enough.
Especially when
ask off.
I mean, there's a lot of years. I think in 2020, maybe it was in 2020. Of course, little did we know what was about to happen, but I think our Gio and I broadcast that, and it was on Fox Southwest at the time, and I think the temperature was like 38. Now, it wasn't a crazy windy, bonkers snowing 38 or anything like that. It was just 38. It was really cold, and there was a decent attendance there just because of opening day. All right, here we go. But lots of blankets and stuff like that. Man, tomorrow we're gonna be like, you're going to have to be wearing sunscreen out there tomorrow and Saturday for sure. And Sunday, I mean, all 3 days, like you'd be getting the Dan tan where you get one side of your face cooked if you're not careful.
I've borderline needed sunscreen just walking to my truck in the mornings and then back to the truck in the evenings to leave.
2 miles or what?
Well, no, it's just that's how
just
quickly
that
I
pasty.
burn, and it does not take that strong of light or heat to really get me nice and red and tomato-ish. So I almost have to sprint to the truck.
Do you observe
start
that
hissing
when
at it
you're-
like a vampire?
Yeah. Do you observe that when you're out fishing? Do you put on the?
I have numerous very light clothing, long sleeves.
Long sleeve. Yeah, it's a good idea.
And
Get you a hat.
I've got a family history of skin cancer too.
Oh, yeah.
So
And you're pasty white.
Yes.
Yeah,
well, this
sure.
probably goes hand in hand a little
Right.
bit. That does not help. Yeah, and I'm conscientious of that, but this is where very thankful for many things about my wife. She's even more so that way.
I'm not great with the sunscreen, but I'm pretty good with
I'm good with
putting
layers.
on a long sleeve white t-shirt or something, even when it's hot outside. I'm all right with that.
Man, it gets to the month of August, and I'm like the guy on the bench warmers who's drinking the sunscreen under the table. That's
Yeah,
nothing like a sunscreen smoothie to make sure you don't get the sun's
I'm
effect.
Going with a lot of brimmed hats,
That's what I need. I've got my normal hats.
I call them like golf hats, although I don't golf, but like a straw, like straw hats.
I call them the Saban hats.
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly it. I wear those things a lot.
That hat's had a history of success.
Yep.
Choice and I were talking about our bald spots. I'm almost to the point where I'm just gonna have to do them like a protection up there.
You could go, Jamie. What's his name? Not Lynn. But
Jamie
the coach
Dixon.
Dixon. You could go do the comb over deal where you comb it from the front to the back to cover your donut hole.
Speaking of Jamie Dixon, we have a game to catch up with you on too.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah, it is a Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3. The Juice when we come back.
It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Welcome back to Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3 and DoubleT973.com. Time for some headlines. You have the Juice, Clint Scott, Dr. Mike Gustafson, and Ben Foreman behind the glass. It is, I think, the second Thursday in a row where live coverage for sporting events, we are wide open tonight. You went from Tuesday, where it's everything, everywhere, all the time, to tonight. Yeah, take the night off. Go find your family. Talk to them.
Yeah, exactly. Go have a
reconnect.
conversation. Introduce yourself.
We do have some finals, of course, from yesterday. We'll start with Red Raider baseball. They fell to Oregon State, a very good Oregon State team, 10-4. You did put up 4 runs in the 4th inning, but where they took advantage of runners in scoring position, that's something, as far as timely hitting, kind of got you yesterday. And then Oregon State, boy, you got to see this front and center. All that they were built up to be, and defensively made some pretty nice plays out there. Some pretty impressive plays.
They converted a couple plays that off the bat I'm thinking, hey, man, that's a base hit. That's getting through or whatever. Not only is it not getting through, they're turning two. They ended up dazzling me, with their defense. I mean, they made a couple plays that changed that game.
Lady Raider basketball, boy, pushed Texas to the very, very brink in Austin, but they do lose 77-72. What a night from Jasmine Shavers. She had 27 points, Gus. Bailey Maupin had 22. Jada Wynn had 10. You also saw Kelly Mora get a career high. She got quite a bit of minutes in this game, too, with 8 points. Of course, Monterey product there. So a better showing, better effort, but couldn't quite get it done in Austin. They will now take on Cincinnati on Saturday. That's a 1:30 start time at home, 107.7 Yes FM. I'll tell you what, if you get that kind of effort, you can at least end the losing skid on Saturday.
Yeah, it was a fun game to listen to. Really was, because they, the difference between where they were on Saturday and where they were last night was miles apart, and to be commended.
Good news for Texas Tech men's golf. That is the 21st ranked Texas Tech men's golf, as they cruised to a team title at the Prestige. 33 under as a team. Second place was the Kansas Jayhawks. If you were looking for how close the next team was, it was them at 21 under. So you ran away with this one. As a team, up next for the Red Raiders is the Cabo Collegiate, hosted by the University of...
I do know this. Is in Arkansas?
It's Arkansas. Yeah.
It's random. Yeah, it's very random.
I love this is one of my favorite things about golf is these teams that have nowhere,
I think Purdue has one that they host that's like that as well. That's just off the a little bit off the wall. Yeah.
If you're like in the state of Indiana, why wouldn't you want to go like host an event in Hawaii if that's accessible to you, or some like a nice course in Florida or something like that?
And if you've got the juice to get it done, like if you've got a donor or an alum down there that facilitates that, I mean, that makes that connection happen. Absolutely.
That will tee off on March 3rd at the Twin Dolphin Golf Club in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. Sport video game players just had themselves a field day today. More and more news coming from the new college football game, College Football 25, as now today was the first day for players to opt in. The news was if they do opt in and agree to give them their likeness, they would get $600 and a copy of the game. And that $600 is a base, meaning that there can be, maybe for some more of the noticeable, more, I guess, special players, marketable players, is probably the right wording here, that money can go up with NIL. But every single FBS team, I mean, this was, I think, about 9 o'clock this morning, all 134 teams were essentially tweeting out, we're in, as EA Sports did a big compilation of everybody saying they're all in.
Nice.
So it's funny that is something people who loved that game have not let it die, because it's been since 2013. And why can't we get this done, especially as NIL comes around? That's why it was killed in the first place.
Right.
And now what's funny to me is it's gone from the kind of video game niche mode over there where it was just like that pocket of people, and it was a big pocket. I was one, still am, to something that very much has been a heavy conversation of college sports the past 2 or 3 years with NIL, and that's what's cleared the way for it. And of course, it was announced a week ago that it was got your first real announcement about it. The rumblings have been going on for like a year and a half. But you get more and more news, and today you get the NIL side of it, of what it means for college football players who choose to be a part of the game.
Very cool.
EA, it's in the game. And that is the juice. This on the chat line, NCAA 2014 was the last one, correct? This from Bullfighter. Hey, Gus, where do you think I could find these? Know of any other sport places to find them besides Fanatics? And these are some checkered. What is that? What's that design? Texas Ranger shorts.
Yeah, like a checkered or maybe a plaid. And that's not plaid, I guess. Right?
Argyle? Is that Argyle?
Yeah.
I don't know my designs very well.
Yeah, I don't know.
Guessing designs with Tech Talk.
Could be. But yeah.
Well, Ben's the designer of the three
and you're
of
talking
us.
about that's Fanatics? Is that it?
Yes.
What's the
I'm assuming that's, yep.
Nice, dude.
Officially licensed gear.
Okay, all right.
Did you see the, speaking of Fanatics, did you see the Fanatics pants thing going around for base? I mean, could we make those any thinner or any, clear of what's going on underneath? Goodness gracious. Paper thin pants.
Yeah, that whole uniform thing has been like, that wasn't just a few guys griping on, social media. That thing's like picked up juice.
Yeah.
Man, like it was a segment on the news the other day, and like it's a thing. And
this just in. See,
Fanatics
MLB players' underwear.
Yeah, Fanatics and MLB are defending it like, hey, they had done it with like, tested a bunch of fabrics to make sure it was cool in the summer and all that stuff. But it seemed
those
like
pants
to me
should be cool. I mean,
it seemed like to me the bigger beef was with the rounded lettering on the jersey and some of that stuff. It looked kind of. It almost looked like something you'd go buy at the store and not like what the actual guys were wearing. But
I have seen more Fanatics baseball uniforms this offseason than I ever have, and none of it has been good. None of it has been a positive for them. I mean, they're just getting beat down.
Yeah, they are.
This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line from Bobby Hot Dogs. Clint, how many White Claws are you going to hammer down tomorrow at the game? I will be in Abilene tomorrow night. So.
Oh, you calling some hoops?
Calling some hoops.
Nice. Oh, boy.
Yeah. Some playoffs. It's Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. Keep hitting us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. When we come back, we'll get into some Red Raider basketball. They had a big win over TCU. Fought tooth and nail to get it. We'll get Gus's thoughts on that. And take a look in at the Big 12 as there was an interesting result from last night. It's Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Happy Thursday. It's Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3 and Double T97.3.com. Clint Scott, Dr. Mike Gustafson, Ben Poorman behind the glass. You can give us a call, give us a ring if you want to. Visual Edge IT hotline is open, 806-771-0973. If you call that number, Ben will tell you the best sun-protecting clothing you can buy. He'll give you price ranges, too. He's got a catalog in there, if you will. He can even give you designs. Argyle, plaid. Those are things we said today. Big 12 basketball is a nutcase, Gus. And sometimes it's so competitive it looks drunk. Oklahoma State yesterday, they beat Cincinnati. That was your standalone Big 12 game, 80-76.
In Cincinnati.
On the road.
Right.
And what I think is interesting with the Cowboys is you look up and you look in the standings, I think everybody had noted, hey, this is the worst team in the Big 12. And now, again, not suddenly making the tournament or anything like that. 4-9 in conference play, though, which is muddy with West Virginia and only a game behind the team they beat for Cincinnati, Kansas State, all in that pocket, which, again, it just shows you just how close the floor is in the best conference in America. And for Cincinnati, this was a killer.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, my goodness. And I think that this probably, I know there's some games to make things up, and as we always say in the Big 12, there's certainly opportunity. But just what you would think for the Bearcats in year one, and from the outlook of the Big 12, hey, are you going to get 9 in or are you going to get 10? Well, I was probably telling you you're going to get 9 in.
I mean, it's a let's see, it's a quad 3. No, hang on. Actually, is that not even? Oh, it's not even on this thing. That should be. That could be a quad 3 or quad 4. Could be one of the worst losses on there, and that's like counting all of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the loss to. I mean, right now their worst loss on the season is the road loss to West Virginia, but this home loss, like that's a, yeah. And you think about how good they were here. I mean, and just how hard they were to play against and big, and the other thing is. You flip that around and go, okay, well, I'm not really concerned with Cincinnati. I mean, they're part of a discussion there to be had. But you go, oh, great, OSU finding themselves just in time for us to head up there.
I mean, we knew
we preferred them just being on the mat, right?
Yes, when we talked about Oklahoma State this year, the conversation was. It's just how young they are. I mean, 2 freshmen in the starting lineup, also a sophomore, a freshman making big-time contributions over there, and I'm not suddenly going like, oh, we should be terrified of that game in Stillwater.
Right.
But if you are looking at the rest of your schedule, which again, all games are winnable for you on the rest of the way out, and you'll see UCF on the road on Saturday, which again would mark into the tricky territory, but a UCF team I think you should go beat.
Sure.
It's not that you needed a long distance wake up call, but I think everybody in the conference is looking at this, especially if you have Oklahoma State on the schedule or someone like that going, boy, you can't drop a game like this so close when you're in the, hey, how high can we climb seed wise in the NCAA tournament? And then for like a Cincinnati, or if you go into like a Texas type team who hasn't nailed their way all the way into the tournament, that is just a back-breaking type of loss. Specifically when you add for Cincinnati that was at home, but still, right. I mean, right now, even though I'm sitting here talking, like, hey, well, see, this is how good the Big 12 is. Even Oklahoma State has found their way into 4 wins. I mean, you just can't drop a game like that. Now, you're more focused right now on UCF, and you're still just getting out, I would say, of party mode because you had a fun one.
Yeah,
ended up being a fun one here in Lubbock.
What an awesome game that was. And, Clint, we came in from our game and the Tech baseball game with UTA, Jamie and I did, and you listened to it in the car on the way back to the hotel, go in for the post-game meal, sit down, finally get our food, settle, get the thing on. Jamie and I are sitting there back in the corner just with the game on quietly, and it's 69-59. So first of all, thank you very much. Sorry we couldn't get there any sooner, but clearly
you guys were a little busy.
Clearly Jamie and I are the key to the victory there. As but
you're their lucky rabbit's foot.
But the play-by-play and the thing that I thought about as the game was unfolding, and that was 10-point deficit with 6:55 left. Okay, let me just read you the scores, and this is just the play-by-play description. All right, of our buckets down the stretch. All right. Yeah, and I guess we hit a 3-pointer. Darian hit a 3-pointer with 8:32 left to cut it to 6, and then they got it back up to 10. All right, so 69-59. Layup, Kyron Lindsey. Layup, Pop Isaacs. Layup, Kyron Lindsey. Free throw, Pop. Free throw, Toussaint. Layup, Darian Williams. Dunk, Darian Williams. Layup, free throw, layup. Free throw. Free throw. So all of that stuff down the stretch. Layup, dunk, free throw. And we all, I think at this point, I mean, we all need to embrace the free throw shooting deal because it's, I think
you're a good free throw shooting team.
Yeah, I think there's a interesting fan behavior dynamic around free throws. Like, just you can have a 75% free throw shooting day, which is just sort of average, and just the gnashing, from the fans and that, oh, the humanity, we missed it, or it's just like, like I get it, they're all, you're gonna miss one anyway. But 15 for 16, we had in the second half, we had that 11 for 11 game, might have been UCF at home second half. Yeah, I mean, just remarkable. And so clutch, and sometimes that's to ice a game, and sometimes it's an essential part of the comeback. But I just you think about this being a game that didn't involve our best big man, and I just read to you the final umpteen scores, whatever it was, 20 points, and it was like 2 dunks, 6 layups, or whatever, little things right around the bucket. What a great job of executing and finding a way to win down the stretch, man. Well, that's so cool.
And you've had some comebacks obviously already this year, and they have felt completely different, because when you made that comeback in Norman, when you made the comeback against BYU here at home, what were you doing? You started shooting the lights out in the second half, and this was
and that's where I was contrasting this. Yeah,
you found a way to win,
like all the cutters and layups and dunks.
Pop Isaac's still obviously struggling. He's a big part of why you come back, because he starts driving, and like you go to that Darian Williams, which was a sweet pass in transition. You found a way to attack the lane. Yes. Yeah, and then that's how you're going to the line too. And I thought it was a much better job too. I feel like this storyline has started to develop over the past couple of weeks. And not just with Pop Isaacs. I think there's a little bit of this with everybody, but like driving just to get to the line and not looking to finish. Like the fouls will be there, but you have to put yourself in position to do that.
Right.
And I think that they did a much better job of that in that final stretch. And I mean, you don't come back and win if not.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Yeah, Gus and I sporting our signature stag today.
Right.
Appreciate that.
That's the deal.
Nice and breezy, comfortable clothing. As a big guy, I appreciate the loose trim.
Nice.
Man. It is Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3 and Double T97.3.com. Appreciate you joining us here on a Thursday. Clint Scott, Dr. Mike Gustafson, Ben Poorman. You can hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Thoughts, comments, questions like this. Gents, at the new football training facility, looks like they're building a room underground. Do y'all happen to know what that underground room will be used for?
So, specifically, my answer is no, I don't know now. What I will tell you is when they built the baseball facility out in the left field corner this past year and a half, of course, that construction was completed in the fall. The deep hole that they built was the mechanical room beneath the underwater treadmill. Because when that underwater treadmill, if it needs any sort of maintenance or basically to install the motors and all the things that drive the treadmill, just to service those, they have to go down basically a ladder into a room to be able to work on it from the bottom. And so with that knowledge about the baseball facility, I will answer, and I know that football's getting that. And that's the sort of thing, because what that provides you is obviously the ability to do rehab, but it takes some of the load off. In other words, underwater you weigh less. It's like kind of, like being in space, less gravity or whatever.
I need to walk underwater.
Yeah, and so it
more.
keeps, if you're a 200-pound dude or 250, 300, whatever, and you're getting over or you're rehabbing an ACL and you're ready to start moving, but you're not ready for all the pounding and all the load, you could do that stuff underwater. Plus, they can put fins on you and create resistance and all that kind of stuff. It's way farther along than I knew it 35 years ago. But, yeah, I know that they're doing those type, that it'll be state of the art medical stuff and rehab stuff in there, and so that would be my guess is that's going to be more of a mechanical space than it is a basement.
It's a hidden layer
full of ping pong tables or whatever. I'm not saying that it's not. I won't speak.
Okay, it's either that or underground fight ring where they invite other mascots to really duke it out.
Right.
Last mascot standing gets to go out onto the field.
I'm gonna guess it's a mechanical space, but
we're gonna hope for mascot fight ring.
Absolutely.
I would absolutely go and I don't know, put a 20 down. Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be a great way to spend a Thursday night. Nothing going on. You know what? Scratch reintroducing yourself to your family. Mascot underground fight ring. No rules. This from D-Rock. USSR hockey team had won the last 4 golds in the Winter Olympics in dominating fashion.
Oh, Lord, yes. Yeah, it was not even close. I mean, again, they were playing like the Canadian All-Star team. I mean, like the NHL, the best players in the NHL from the nation of Canada would play the Red Army in a series, and there was a famous series in the early 70s in which they played, and it was a brawl. I mean, it was a brawl in terms of good hockey, but it was a brawl. You know, that's how good they were. Like they were playing NHL All-Star teams and beating NHL teams and all that. I mean, and so we throw a bunch of college kids out there and win that thing. So, and it wasn't long by the end of the 1980s. You know, the Russian players were coming over here and playing, and they jumped right into the NHL, and you know, we're on Stanley Cup teams, and I mean, just we're all over the place. You know, great, really good, solid players, just littering the NHL.
Speaking of hockey, I have added and this is not, I guess, just way, way high on the list because there's other things if I had the opportunity would probably surpass it, but it's made the list of events that I would like to go watch. Mm-hmm. And I've watched hockey games live, just a handful, have enjoyed it every single time, am looking forward to whenever I go back to the next one. You know, I've never watched the Stars play, which that would be an easy trip, and I need to do, absolutely. Especially with the Stars on top of it being a good team. But, you know, they do the outdoor series in the NHL, which I love. I sent you and our friend Dickens a video the other day of a rookie who made his NHL debut against the Islanders for the Rangers, and within under 2 minutes, he was in a fight.
Oh yeah,
it was brilliant.
Yeah, and he was
awesome.
he was trying to earn his place around there. Like, hey, I'm trying to win the respect of my teammates, you know, because he's a big physical dude. It's not like he's got silky mitts and, you know, is nimble on his feet and all that stuff. So, and though, you know, the old 1970s, 1960s, 80s, whatever, the old hockey goons were kind of legislated out of the game, but there's you know, every team having a little bit of a tough guy there to take on some of that stuff, is there's still a place for it. And that young dude was like, you know, like immediately the veterans are like, hey, nice going, Rook. You know, like if he'd gone out there and skated around for a while, it might not have been as, you know, he might not have been as noticed as him walking over to the biggest dude and tapping the guy on the shoulder and saying, hey, you want to dance?
Yeah. My favorite part of that, because it was Matt Rempe, I think I've got his name right, who is fighting in this. And this wasn't why. It was just more of like watching the environment of, I mean, one, a bigger stadium than you can fit since it's outside. And I know this isn't the first year they've done this. I guess maybe I haven't paid attention to as much. And this game was really good that the Rangers ended up coming back and winning against the Islanders. But my favorite part of that fight, and I feel like I've seen this quite a bit when you get into these, these two guys are duking it out. One, it cracks me up, the refs, you know, because they're not going to go in and break this up, right? They're like, this is a part of it, part of the culture. And they're just, you know, just very quietly sweeping away some of the gloves and things that they're dropping. So while they're spinning, they're not going to, you know, fall or trip or anything. But in this one, they do the fight, right? They're going, and then they both they're like, you done? You done? Okay. And then head nod and like, let's keep playing.
It really is amazing when you'll there'll be some mic'd up players and they'll get in scraps. And they'll do exactly what you're talking about, that they'll scrap. And sometimes they're pissed at each other. You think they're all like heated, pissed at each other, wanting to kill each other. A bunch of those are just, hey, you good? Yeah, I'm good. Nice job. And they'll skate off and like, wait a second.
Well,
you
let's
guys
keep
are just
playing the hockey,
throwing
huh?
blows,
Let's keep
man.
going.
Yes. They'll get tired and like, you good? Yeah. And the refs will be like, hey, fellas, that's enough. That's enough. But, if they're really like legit hate and they're trying to kill each other, then no. But
all right. As
it's
soon
amazing.
as he takes off a skate to use it as a weapon, maybe we break it up.
It's amazing the number of those fights that are sort of, hey, let's get this place going. All right, you want to go? Yeah, sure, let's go. And they'll drop them and go. Then they're like, hey, nice job.
I haven't had the puck passed to me in like 5 minutes. Let's fight.
Yes.
It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Appreciate you joining us here on a Thursday. Clint Scott, Dr. Mike Gustafson, Ben Porman behind the glass. We probably won't hear much from us tomorrow.
A little bit. Yeah, maybe right
just
there. Yep.
Snippet.
I'll be scurrying over here after the game to
Red Raider baseball in their home opener. 1:30 start time. Texas Southern. You'll see them, of course, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. No doubleheader on Saturday. Sometimes you see that here early on. But it'll be 1:30 on Double T 97.3 and 100.7 The Score. What did you think of Mr. Brady Trombello?
Well, he was a highlight of the weekend, or of the I guess if you consider all of it a weekend, but he was a highlight of Arlington.
I've been saying that too, so it just felt like an extended weekend, even though Tuesday and Wednesday were there.
Sure. He my assumption is that he'll pitch on Tuesdays this year primarily, but you never know. Pitched at probably 87, 88, maybe 89 there, but, commanded all three pitches for strikes and just showed a tremendous feel and got into a really good rhythm and, was just rolling. And in a way that, he clicked along for 4 scoreless, 4 hits, no walks, no free passes, no nothing, struck out 4, and it was just zip, zip, zip. My comp, I guess, is, and I'm a little reluctant to do this, but I think
hold
it's right.
back.
Well, I think it helps fans to kind of go, oh, okay, but I don't misunderstand this and say he's the next. Dadgummit, I just went blank on it.
Randy Johnson.
No, who
Greg
was
Maddox.
Hang on, dadgummit, goofing around. I start forgetting names, dude. Hunter Dobbins. He was a lot like Hunter Dobbins. Hunter Dobbins, I think, is going to go underappreciated here at Tech because we never saw the best of him. And I'd say maybe most fans never saw the best of him, and even we didn't see the most because he was going to be the Friday guy in 2021 towards UCL on his elbow, the last start of the spring before the games. Mm-hmm. And his best outing in 2020 was probably – or he was clicking along in 2020 right before COVID, mm-hmm. and didn't have any fastball command against Mississippi State in Biloxi. We know how good that team was. One of them's shortstop's already in the big leagues, and Foskew's already knocking at the door for the Rangers. And he pitched on a night where he didn't have fastball command. He mixed pitches and kept Tech in that game, lost it like 3-2 right before COVID. And like, man, that dude, he's about to be a weekend guy. We're about to, this is about to. And so anyway, am I writing all those checks for Trombello? No, I'm just saying he reminds me of that because Dobbins' first year in 2019, he looked a lot like Trombello, a little bit, kind of tall and slender, some like a lot of freshmen, hadn't put that extra 3 miles on his fastball, hasn't ticked up 15 pounds, all that stuff's still in there. But he immediately comes out and there's like feel for a cutter, change up the whole deal. And so I was really excited by him. My guess is that he'll pitch a lot on Tuesdays this year. And, I'm excited to see his development. I hope he has a great year.
Now,
I hope there's more of that, and it wasn't just super fluky, but it didn't look fluky.
Well, and maybe I just missed this, but that was the big mystery of the extended weekend, if you will, is who was going to start Tuesday, who was going to start Wednesday. I think a lot of people maybe weren't thrown off, but got their answer when Huffling had extended innings, because that was certainly someone that was thrown out. And you still will find out more about the midweek and how he'll specifically be used. But with all the names that kind of had been thrown out, didn't hear Trombello, at least to my knowledge, be someone that was like, well, maybe it's going to be the freshman. Or that freshman specifically. Right.
It was a lot of Hewer and that kind of thing. And Hewer ended up going 3+ against, I think 3+, 2 2/3, 3 3 1/3 against Nebraska in meaningful spots. And there's a lot to like with him. Of course, he's a bigger kid, drafted, a little more on the fastball than Trombello. Trombello's probably got more feel for certainly a third pitch and maybe even a second pitch than Hewer, but Hewer, he did not back down, man. He got, and so, the other dude that'll be fun to watch and how he'll be used this year, it may be exactly like we saw it for kind of multi-inning reliever type stuff, I agree, Trombello, because we as we sort of ran through and Tim talked about it in some of his preseason media, like, everybody's thinking of a list of 5 or so guys, and he would rattle off the names, Fast. Robinson and Petty. Well, Tabor threw a scoreless inning yesterday, Fast, but he had only had he had only pitched in the very last inter squad that last weekend. Like, he got a late start, as did Trenton Parrish, and so both of those guys just go on an inning this past weekend. Maybe they just go an inning or two. So they're a little bit behind the others. They certainly haven't ramped up a pitch count up to 70 or whatever like some of the starters did. Yeah. So, they're fine. They're going to be okay. But I'm just saying, and both of those dudes threw strikes as well. We really only had a couple of hiccups in the not throwing strikes department. And, one of them was Caleb Rogers, and that's – wait, is that right?
Jacob.
I did that yesterday on the broadcast. Dang it. I even wrote it down on a sheet of paper.
He's got you so hype in the basketball game when he's on the court. He just can't get away from it.
Caleb Rogers has been a big part of my vocabulary this winter. Well, I would say this since Christmas, because he has become a fun part of the basketball spectacle because he's down there hyping up the suits. But, Caleb and Jacob lost, Jacob lost his command yesterday, in his third inning of work, but the stuff is real. And so it's one of those guys, we even got texts to the show when I was on with you, I guess on Monday, like, hey, should have been taken out quicker, in a perfect world, yes. But his stuff is good enough that you gotta keep running that dude out there and giving him chances. There will be a point at which you don't, but it's like Brendan Girton and some of those guys. You got to keep hanging in there because the stuff that he's got would allow him to pitch to Oregon State and handle that level of.
This has been the Tech Talk Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.